There's 10 charts right now that give us a very, very good gauge of where the stock market is likely to go in this very, very volatile environment that we're in right now and how I plan to capitalize in my $1.2 million account. So the first chart that we have to look at is to know where we're going in the future. We have to know where we've been. This red line right here corresponds to the current bull market cycle that we're in right now, starting 10/12 of 2022. The market is up roughly 90% in that time frame. Of course, there's a lot of volatility along the way. This is a Liberation Day tariff dump right here, but the market still is technically in a bull market. And when we compare that to previous bull market cycles since 1966, what we are seeing right now is very typical. It is not uncommon at all. And honestly, some of the best bull market cycles that we've seen since 1966, they've went up over 500% in that bull run. And again, right now we're not even at 100%. So by looking at this chart, what's happening in the market is not untypical, and many more returns could potentially come by just looking at this one thing right here. And you might be wondering, like the Liberation Day tariff dump thing, Brandon, wasn't that a legitimate bear market? The answer is no, because if we plot this on the S&P 500 chart, the market only fell 17% in that time frame, and 20% denotes a technical bear market. So we did not fall into a bear market category right here, and the show is continuing. Now you can see a little bit of a little wick down right here where the market is going red. This is a volatility that we are experiencing right now in 2026. A lot of it's because of valuations, a lot of it's because of the labor market, Iran, oil. We're going to talk about this stuff right here, but looking at that chart, it's not too bad. Now, if we flip over to chart number 2, this shows you what the stock market's doing right now versus what it did during one of the biggest crashes ever in 1929, where the S&P 500 fell very, very, very deeply. So what we're seeing right now, the market's up roughly 80% like we talked about in a previous chart. But what happened in 1929 building up to that major, major blow-off crash? The market went up 340% in that roughly, we'll just say 9-year time frame right there. We're currently in year 5 of the bull market, and we are nowhere near this blow-off top right here. So in my opinion, based on these first 2 charts, the market is okay. The market is not in bubble category right now. Now, if we go into chart number 3, this is one thing that is genuinely making a lot of people freak out, and it's the margin debt. And usually when a lot of people are leveraged out to the moon on margin and we get a little bit of volatility in the market, it's going to cause all those people to have all them super bullish positions up here to cover their positions as the market falls. And when they have to cover their positions, they often have to sell those positions to get off a margin and get their leverage ratios back in check. And when they're forced to sell, it makes the selling pressure even more and the market falls down, down, down even more. So when you see margin debt historically at an all-time high like this, it does make investors very nervous. And again, guys, sorry I sound a little bit sick right now. I just want to get this info out because I feel like this is very, very valuable info to understand because there's a lot of noise out there in the stock market right now. And again, I'm here to make money. I know that you're here to make money. So we're going to break all this down and then I'll summarize it at the end of exactly what makes sense to do right now in this market. So margin debt is at an all-time high for sure. But just simply saying something is at an all-time high, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean it's a bubble. It doesn't mean it's about to pop. It's just an all-time high since going back to 1995. But if we look at this on a percent basis of an actual index, take a look at this right here. You can see that this is margin debt as a percent of the Wilshire 5000 index. It is technically at historic lows going all the way back to 1980. So while we are at an all-time high nominally on this number, the number is an all-time high number, as a percent of the actual index, it's historically low. So by looking at this chart right here, I am not worried about margin debt. By looking at this chart right here, I am not worried about a blow off top. And by looking at this chart right here, the duration and the percent that the index went up since the start of this bull market, I am not worried right now by looking at this stuff. There are definitely some things I'm concerned about, which we're going to get into in just a second. But by looking at these charts so far, it's not too bad. So by looking in the chart number 5, you guys know that I'm a huge fundamental investor. I think that fundamentals drive stocks in the long term. Short term is a lot of speculation, volatility, fear, greed, emotions, whatever. But valuations matter. And by looking at the Mag 7 price earnings ratio level, which is this pink dotted line right here, you can see that in 2021, we were all the way up here at 38, which is very, very expensive. But what happened? The earnings went up. The index didn't go up as much, so the price earnings ratio came down to a more fair level. Little example right here. Right here for this water bottle example that I do all the time, the PE ratio was 38 for the Mag 7 stocks. You're basically paying $38 for this water bottle, and they're only throwing you off $1 per year in profit. So it would technically take you 38 years to get even on your initial investment, which doesn't really sound too good if you ask me. But now down here, how they corrected, you're now paying $25 to get $1 per year in profit. So it does sound a little bit more compelling. You're getting your initial investment back in 25 years. Now, the red line is going to be the S&P 500. PE ratio was around 22 to 23, but now we're trading down here at 20.6, which is good. This is healthy. We want to see the price earnings ratio level come down because we want to be able to get more value. We want to allocate and make money in our portfolios. And if we take a look at the S&P 500 on a 1-year chart, you can see that the index has been doing nothing in this time frame. Meanwhile, earnings per share continues to grow and go up and to the right like this. So the market a few months ago was more expensive, but the market right now is closer to intrinsic value because the earnings per share and the profits dictate where the stocks are going to go in the long term. The closer that you get to this earnings per share growth line, the more likely you are close to intrinsic value and you have a much stronger floor under you for the index to continue to go higher. So while a lot of people are nervous and freaking out that the market's not going straight up, in the last few years it's been going straight up and now it's not, this is okay. It's okay to take a little bit of a breather. This is healthy and normal and a healthy valuation reset. A lot of healthies right there. And I'm not healthy right now. I'm a little bit sick, but I just want to get this info out to you guys. I know it's very, very important. And again, I'll summarize all this at the end to just make it make sense in a very, very simple way. But valuations are getting a little bit more reasonable. Meanwhile, the market is not crashing. So by looking at the charts that we've looked at so far, there's nothing really flashing a major red sign to me right now. And yes, valuation levels are definitely still a little bit high historically speaking, but what else is high historically speaking? Take a look at this chart right here. This chart shows you the corporate S&P 500 profit margins. Look at the red line right here. S&P 500 profit margins going all the way back to 1990, we'll just say. Look at the profit margins of the S&P. 1990 it was around 5%. Right now we are at 14% profit margins. What does this mean? Companies are more efficient. They're more profitable. Earnings per share is growing faster. They're now using this thing called AI to do more work with less people. That equals more profits, more money to the bottom line. And on top of this, think about the hyperscalers, the companies that are in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, like the Metas, the Googles, the Teslas, the other companies like that are spending so much money on data center build out, Amazon, stuff like that. They're spending so much in CapEx right now to build out their data center chips. But when that slows down, there's going to be less spending in data center as a percent of total revenue, and that less spending is going to flow to the bottom line as profits. The profit margins will expand. On top of that, right now is the dumbest that AI is ever going to get. As AI gets smarter and more efficient, the agents become better. Agentic AI gets better. These companies are going to be able to do more work with less people, become more efficient, and these profit margins are likely to expand even further. So I do expect this to continue to grow. So again, while the valuation level on a price earnings ratio level basis is a little bit elevated right now, you're getting this at a time that profit margins are at all-time highs and profits are growing at a very strong rate too. If we take a look at this is the S&P 500 operating earnings per share growth rate. This goes all the way back to 1995. What we're seeing right now is earnings per share growing, and it's not anything abnormal. It's not like an amazing growth rate right now. But as these companies spend less on CapEx, as the data centers start to monetize, as these agents get better and more efficient, we're going to be able to do more work with less people. And I do expect these profit margins to continue to expand, and then earnings per share is going to grow with time. As EPS grows, we all know by watching this channel, that's the number one thing that moves the price of a stock in the long term. EPS goes up and down. When EPS goes up, the stock is going to follow that. I've showed this many, many times on this channel. And if we look at the next chart, I'm kind of just throwing a lot at you right now, but this is all really good information to understand and just build a thesis of where this market's at. So again, looking at everything we looked at so far, there's no red flags just yet. But looking at this chart, there could potentially be a red flag. So the blue line right here corresponds to the forward earnings of the S&P 500. The red line is obviously the S&P 500 index itself. Notice what happens usually when the S&P 500 index itself is quite a bit of ways above the earnings per share growth line. This is what happened in 2000 for the dot-com crash. Notice how the future expected returns weren't that good. Notice right here where they were kind of overlapped, but then just a very negative catalyst happened, like the 2008 financial crisis. The market fell on top of that. So imagine if something like the 2008 financial crisis happened right here when valuations were a little bit stretched, where the market was clearly running up faster than what the profits were running up, meaning there's a disconnect, meaning the stock market is expensive. It was a bubble, it popped. But right now, if we look to the right, you see that we have a similar disconnect. The earnings per share is down here. The actual S&P index is up here. While earnings per share is growing very radically in vertical right now, and the index is doing nothing, the market is naturally becoming cheaper and safer and more compelling day by day. But we are still a little bit extended. But based on all these charts that we talked about so far, having the growth rates very strong, having the bull market cycle just in its infancy still. I mean, it's kind of like mid-range bull market cycle right now with no really astronomical abnormal growth happening right now. On top of that, margin debt is fine. On top of that, valuation levels are becoming more reasonable. The market is okay right now, in my opinion. And again, if we take a look at where we're at right now versus the earnings per share growth, all the market has to do is just go sideways for maybe like 6 months to a year, let earnings per share grow, and these lines are going to be close to overlapped again. And usually when they overlap, that means the future expected returns for the market are probably going to do very well. So by looking at all the charts we talked about so far, it does indicate the S&P and Nasdaq are a little bit overvalued, but not by that much. And if earnings per share continues to grow, AI becomes more efficient, the market could actually be a little bit cheap right now. And one other thing that we haven't talked about yet is where inflation's at. And the reason why inflation matters so much is because inflation is going to dictate where interest rates go. And as you guys know, interest rates are like gravity on the stock market. If interest rates go up, the stock market is very likely to go down. Because just think about this logically. The S&P 500 averages roughly 10% per year. If you could go buy a bond from the US government that's going to give you a 10% yield annually, guaranteed rate of return as long as the government doesn't fail, are you going to take the quote risk in the stock market for 10%? Or are you going to go buy the risk-free rate of return bond for 10%? Most people will go buy the bond, and that means there's less, demand to go buy into the stock market. So the stock market price earnings ratio level is going to fall, it's going to contract. Now, the reason why inflation matters is because as inflation trends down, the Fed is going to feel more confident to cut interest rates and support the labor market. Fed has two jobs: keep inflation in check and keep the labor market okay. As inflation continues to fall, we could then focus on the labor market because AI is truly taking jobs right now, and I feel like it's obvious that is where the focus needs to be for the Fed. So as inflation falls and as interest rates fall, these slightly elevated market valuations become a little bit more justified. On top of that, lower interest rates promote more growth in the economy. Cheaper homes, cheaper cars, cheaper cost of borrowing. Companies that issue bonds to borrow money, like Nvidia, could issue just say a 6% bond right now. They could call those bonds back and then go reissue them at 3% if rates fall. So that company saves more money, and that boosts the earnings per share and makes the profits go higher. Now we got to talk about one more chart, which is the critical major chart that Warren Buffett looks at all the time. It's a very simple chart. It's just everything. You have to understand this right here. This dictates everything in the stock market. It's called the equity risk premium. And it's basically exactly what it sounds like. How much premium am I going to get paid to take the risk in equities? Equity risk premium. So you can basically interpret this as the red line is how much you should be expected to make in the S&P 500 going forward. The green and blue lines down here is how much you should expect to make in the bond, and you subtract inflation from it. So basically, the closer that these lines get together, the more compelling it is to put your money into bonds and not the stock market, because the future expected returns for the stock market are poor. Take a look at what happened in 2000. You can see that these are basically at the exact same level. Your future expected returns in a stock market were 4%, but a bond is basically 4% too. So who on earth is going to want to put their money into a stock market when they could just go put their money into the bond and basically get the same guaranteed ROI? You'd of course put your money into a bond, and it's no surprise that the market crashed in 2000. If we take a look at 2010, you can see there's a big distance. We'll say 2009. There's a huge disconnect right here. The future expected returns in the stock market were roughly 10. The future expected returns in a bond were roughly 1 to 0%. So basically, you're going to get paid 10% more per year in the stock market to take the risk in equities. But right now, your difference right here is roughly from, we'll just say 4.5% to 1%. So you're basically going to get paid 3.5% more right now to take the risk in the stock market. Is it worth it for some people? No. Is it worth it for some people? Yes. So that again is why if we look at the charts of what the actual indices are doing right now, with the volatility that's happening right now with Iran and valuations and Trump and AI and all this crazy stuff, the market's been literally going in a zigzag pattern because the market just doesn't know how to price this stuff in. But as EPS continues to grow, the market's getting a stronger foundation under it, and the growth prospects look better going forward than what they did right here, for example. So the very simple overall summary is this: continue to buy great companies at good prices and plan to hold them for the long term. Options are only there to magnify an expected return. If you're very bullish on a stock, you could sell portfolio secure puts or you could buy call options, but only do that on a long duration basis. We look at the chart again right here. If you do short duration options like a 1 month or 2 month option contract, we have no idea what the market's going to do in the short term. It's just zigzag sideways. But when you give time for earnings per share to grow, it's more likely that the stock is going to follow that in the long term. So when you allocate to a good company when it's undervalued somewhere around right here, we'll just say, your future expected returns are better than somewhere up here. So continue to search for deals, continue to buy good companies when they're undervalued, and allocate options in a responsible way, and always be prepared for a 40, if not 50% stock market crash. Overall, I'm short-term cautiously optimistic, long-term very bullish. We're going to have a lot of volatility. Stick to the plan. And if you want to learn more about my top AI stocks right now that could totally explode, watch this video right here, and I'll see you guys there.